let's start for this new journey in the style component. This image could be a new journey also or living. I like to imagine this kind, I like always to visualize the things. And with React, I think it's a good idea to do it because React is a sort of a composition of component, like music. Music also composition, we use note, we use riff, we use a lot of parts to make some music. These guys maybe is leaving the old way to do the stuff. Before we have HTML, we still have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript separated in three files and linked together. Now with the CSS and JavaScript, we have the chance of the opportunity to use the CSS inside JavaScript and add also some dynamicity to our web application. Let's start with one of the most important module to do that. But before all, there is someone of you that know what it is JavaScript. What does it mean, CSS in JavaScript? No. As I said before, is the chance to bring JavaScript inside in CSS or the opposite. In this case, maybe it's the opposite because we are implementing some JavaScript in a JavaScript file. One of the, as I said before, one of the most famous popular at the moment module to do that is style component. I can show you maybe if I'm lucky the documentation, because I think one of the most important thing to start always is to have a look at the documentation. I don't see. There is the classic installation. We can install like a normal module in React, and we can import and export. I strongly advise you to look at the basic documentation, just to have a start with it. And I would like now to introduce some very basic feature of this module. Let's start it. I'm gonna put, okay. Give me just a couple of seconds to delete, comment out something so we can start together. Don't worry, this is normal. Okay, now we have a blank page and we can play with it. As I said before, the first thing you have to do is npm install and install the module. I already installed it. I also strongly advise to use an extension called VS Code style component, because otherwise you have always write the rule and they will be treated like a string. You know that sometimes when you type in the JavaScript you have the autocomplete. You have some help, some menu to help you to typing some rule. I'll show you later, maybe it's better. So, how do we write the component? First of all, we have to import our style component.
Zoom a bit, please.
Zoom. Zoom. 1 second.
Control plus.
I have to find the plus. Okay. It's fine now? Or more?
More, please.
Okay.
Should be high for
Okay. So we imported style from style component, and we can now work at any normal component in JavaScript. There's only one difference that is very useful with this component. The syntax is different. For example, we can transform our HTML tag in a personal component. The way we do it is to in this way. We can create a variable, const. I call it outer. You can use whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And then we have to write styled.div and use the backtick. This already is a module. Because style.div is a function. They use the tag template literal. Everything is explained very well on the documentation website of style component. And for example, if you want to create our first component, we need only to do this. For example, const. Let's try to use the capital letter, because otherwise it should work, but they advise you to use always the capital letter, because otherwise they will be treated like a normal HTML tag. So my name, what's my name? Equal styled, let's say h1. Style component also is supporting all the HTML tags, so we can use h1, div, image, and also some custom name they will see later. Backtick. And now we can, for example, decide what kind of property we want to assign to our component. I'm using h1, so it's clear that I'm going to write an h1 tag with a color, let's say red. Now to do this, the only thing we have to do, we can put here like a component. I call it, I forgot what to call it, my name. It doesn't work. 1 second. No. Const my name. Why it doesn't work? My name. Okay, I know why. I have something.
Yeah, and also the closing tag.
Where? There was another one.
Yeah, after Davide, my name, with the name of the capital.
I can't see.
After
I can't
Davide.
see. Yeah.
Mine, yeah, you need to change that.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, I have an extension that always complete, so now it should work.
No, so you haven't closed your initial my name opening tag, so after you've written the text down there, I think you need to close it as well, is that correct?
No, I changed. There is something wrong here. My name. Ah.
Davide, go down, and after your name, go down.
Yeah, it's
No, it's working now.
Okay.
It works.
but it's here in the
It's
screen.
eyes in the screen. Sorry guys. Can you see now? I can't see because there is.
Maybe you can change the font size.
Yeah, we can change also the font size. The only thing we have to do. How do you change the font size in CSS, guys?
Font size?
It's so easy.
You could have made it a bit harder, could have said text.
Let's say 24. No, let's say 50 pixels. Okay. If we want, for example, align the text, we have to do text align. We can use text align on the outer, so all the text will be align center. Oh. So as you can,
Part of the screen which is covered by your Visual Studio that by things.
I know, but I don't. Okay. Can you see?
Yeah.
as you can see, now I write everything in the app.js, but we can also create a component and import in this module. We can use also props, that we'll see in a bit. But let's write another component. What would you like to write? Wow. Let's see another.
Surname.
Okay. Const last name. Sorry, what I like last name. H2. Backtick. Okay. Color. What kind of color you want, guys?
Green.
Green. The color of the oak.
Green is too green. Maybe more, blend.
Maybe some shade like a lime.
Lime green.
Lime green.
Front side.
Line this way.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
I
perfect.
think it's a hyphen, isn't it?
Let's see.
You want the camera case for last name as well.
Mhm. Maybe big.
Yeah, size maybe.
Some sides. Font size. 45. As you can see, it's very easy to do it at the beginning. Everything at the beginning, also console log, hello world is easy. After that, you're still thinking, I did the right choice? Yes. Now let's create an external component. For example, let's create a button, okay? Are you agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I already create a button because I don't want to stress you, because I don't know that probably you don't remember a lot of rules of CSS. And the important thing I want to show here is maybe the most important feature we can add in this module is to use the JavaScript inside. I don't know if some of you already use, for example, some framework like Bootstrap or Semantic UI. Then you can choose the color of the button or the size of the button, set some rule, for example, bottom primary, bottom class. We can do the same thing here. We're adding some logic. We can create the button, const button, style button, background color, and here we can decide using the props, let me say behavior, to choose if you want to use a primary button or pale violet thread button, blue or gray. In this case, it's easy for you to understand that if props primary will be true, we're gonna have gray. Otherwise, it will be custom true, we're gonna have a pale violet thread color. Otherwise, it will be blue. Now we create, I want to show you the folder. One most important thing that, when I read the documentation is it's really, really important. I think it's always important to organize and decide the structure of the folder tree before, because we are dealing with a lot of a component. Now we are playing with it. Now imagine a big portal like Facebook or other big web application or website, very big. They have tons, it's called tons? They have loads of folder and file. So if you don't structure, if you don't organize well your folder tree, it will be also a mess to find the component or something, even if it's easy to deal with them. So in this case, I create the button folder with button.js. As you can see, there's no any CSS file inside because I can put everything on here. Then I export the button, and now give me just a little bit second to import the button. So we have to import the button. Import button from H. Is in ecco qua. Button. Give me the button. And now we can use the button. Let's see. Yeah. There's nothing inside. Let me play the class. Press me. Not too much. Not too hard. Sorry guys, I'm not used with this. Okay. Now, remember that I had some logic. Now the button is the default color was blue. If I put now some primary, it should become gray. If I put custom, pilot thread. So you can see the powerful of this kind of tool. You can do also one thing, another thing. It's very useful, I think. Try to imagine if I already built the logic or something, but I want some custom behavior only in this kind of file. I can do something like this. I can create const my button equal to, in this case, we don't have to use the HTML tag, but we have to use this. And now, the only thing we have to do is to change. It's not the only thing. We have to do something else, but my is the same. Okay, style button, and now we can create our new custom button. What kind of color would you like to see? First of all, how do we change the color of a button? Come on. Color is for the text. Background color. See, you can see now this extension, the menu that I'm scrolling, without installing VS Code styled component, all the text will be treated like a string. So you have to type every time everything. This is very useful extension, I think. So background color, what is here? What color would you like? Purple. Let's see. See? And this doesn't affect the original one. And you can customize your button using the previous bottom component that we already created. It's still there. Maybe it's used in another page with that kind of logic. But here we are going to personalize, customize our component. There's another thing I would like to show you. If you go and check the spec with that tool, you can see that every element is on personal class that a style component create. So you don't risk to mess with the class or something. Every time you create a new, even if the component is the same, every time you create a new, you call a new button or you add a new button, it will create a new class. I think to not compromise the class, to not mix the class, because sometimes you can, when you want to type something with the class, you are going to take all that class. Probably there are other buttons in other page and you don't want to mess with them. So you can work only on that. Now let's create a sort of navbar, if you like. If you like, do you like?
Yeah.
Do? Okay. Let me give some time to. I already built it here. I want to show you the structure. As you can see, I imported the button from the folder button. I create the style for the navbar. I also add some media query because style component also is also compatible with the also support the media query. Not all the framework, not all the CSS in JavaScript framework do that. Style component is one of this. See, this is the structure of the navbar, and now we are going to import this navbar made with a button component that we bring from another folder. So we are creating a sort of composition, I said before, I believe. 1 second. We need to do something now. Let's bring everything to the light. Allora, let's delete, comment out this. We don't need anymore. Okay, this is the image before. As you can see, I put the background image. This is a background image, not is a normal tag. So we can comment out. If you don't need, you can do also in this way. It should disappear. So we can name the background, only the background color. Then we can add also the logo, classic React logo, if you like. I'm gonna put everything so we can see. 1 second. It's beautiful when you see the thing. It's like to play with the jigsaw. And this is the number. Let's wait. Can I enlarge the page? Yes. As you can see, I create a little navbar here. Why they are blue? If we want to change the color, for example, like I showed you before, we can add some props here. In this case, primary, custom, and that's it.
Where is that coming from? What are you declaring? What happened when you said primary?
They are in the button.js. They are here. This is the logic. Because I use the button, I can enlarge the, I can move the, maybe if I move the editor. Everything's
Hide the file name,
yes. Okay.
or
Everything is here. I put some logic here. I import the button in the navbar object, and I can use the same logic, adding primary custom. Let's see. If I want to change something on my button, as I said before, I want to green. I want to modify only the navbar. I can comment out this and change the name of my button. And now it's green. I believe it's really powerful tool. One thing I want to say, I want to mark, it's not a shortcut. You need to know, you have to know the CSS, otherwise you don't go anywhere. It's not something, okay, I don't know CSS, I am going to use style component because it's easy. No, because you are only using CSS inside a JavaScript file. So there is JavaScript and CSS that work together. Before they were separated, now you have the chance to work on it. But it's not a shortcut.
So Davide, it's a bit like replacing classes basically.
Yeah, yeah. It's a new way also to create classes, because every component is a I can say transpiled in a new class. So you have to deal only with that one. And you can add all the effort that you want. You can add media query. In fact, you can see I also add some media query. If that tool will work, I can show you.
How did you do that keyframe? I mean, the animation. How is it working?
The animation.
Yes, is as well inside the style component.
Yeah, I did something. You can also change the rotation, the animation with using the props. The same way I did the color, I changed the color. I add some logic to the color. You can do the same. I'm gonna show you now because I think I have some example inside here. If you can see, there is another logo. I add another logo, and I add some. I say backwards. See now the color. If I remove what? Yes. So now they are, this is spinning in the same way. If I have the props backwards, one of them, see, will be the opposite. It's very. I have to say that if you like CSS, it's very funny to play with it. It's very funny. Yeah. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I mean, as you mentioned, in your introduction, I mean, it's kind of like leaving the old way to embracing like, a new way of treating components and integrating with CSS. What is the reception of this in the market in terms of, has it been like adopted a lot, or if you know, of course?
As everything, there's a big debate, because some people have to say also that the first time I started with this, it was the same thing, the same feeling that I had for React. Okay, why do I need this for a small website? Yes, it's very useful, but it depends by the scenario. Sometimes you don't need it. If you have to create a simple website, probably there's no need to install a module or import something. You can practice with it. It depends also by the time that you have, the customer, if it's rich or not, how much they pay for also, because involve also that you have to learn some new things. Because try imagine also if I'm a customer and I saw this kind of tool. I want the same thing. You can't say no. Okay, you can say, okay, I need more time because a new component for me. I can study because you're supposed to be a developer. So for me, you are like a sort of chameleon. You can change your skin. No, you have to know that sooner or later maybe your company will change your stack. What you want to do? Change office? No. Grab a book, style, pay for a course, pay for something, and study for it if you can. It depends. The debate sometimes, some people, for example, like me, old school, I want only three. I like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript separated. For me, at the beginning was, okay, I don't know. I'm not very convinced about that. But when you start to play with it, it's also funny to play. Because you can play with JavaScript, so you can practice also JavaScript, you can involve JavaScript, the CSS, and it's another tool. It's another tool. For me, also the development, you can expand this question in everything, for example, because we like pasta. Now you can, no, I like to compare, we like pasta. Now you can have a normal pasta with tomato sauce, but you can make also a good lasagna, you can make also a bolognese. You can use, and I think also in the development field, you can use this kind of different tool, and when you need it, they are there. You don't have to use at all costs. But if you need it, there are a lot of tools that you can use to improve your work if you want to deal with that. Otherwise, you have to struggle with, if you want to build a big website, you have to struggle with normal style. So for me, it's not bad or good. They are tools. If you need the tools, I think you have to learn it. If you
GitHub stars, right? It's got about 24,000 already.
Yeah. I want to show you something. This is not something style component. If you go on GitHub,
It has more than React, no? Or
No, I think React's 40,000, is it?
but has more than Angular, no?
if you type, there is a GitHub with this Michele Bertoldi. I want to show you how many modules or say library there are about CSS in JavaScript. See how many there are. So it's not only one. So this means that it is also about CSS in JavaScript. So let's see how many tools we have. It depends I think it depends by our needs. If you need, it's good to know there is a tool out there that you can use and that it can improve your job. This is my answer to your question. I don't know. Sometimes also for the portfolio, no? We are practicing with React. Maybe I have only one page, so there's no need to create an app for React. Even if create an app with React, you have a lot of stuff already ready to use. But I think when you start to work with it, it's also a funny way to work. If you are curious, if you like, you have to be curious also, I think, to stay in this kind of market. Otherwise, you will be, I don't know how to say in English, overwhelmed. You know, when a car surpasses you, you will surpassare. So it's called. I think also it's good for the brain, because the brain is the only muscle that never change. You became old when you stop thinking. So in this field, you can always use your brain. That's it. Yeah. But there are a lot of people that don't like this style. Maybe they prefer the old way. Maybe they are too old. I don't know. I don't know. I like it.
So do you know any CSS developers who likes that?
The one who created maybe is the first one. Yes, there are. I watched some video on YouTube, and always at the beginning they say, "Oh, what is this? Why you have to do this? But I think also at the beginning with React we had the same impression.
No.
But-
I'm very opinionated. So I
Yeah.
think your introduction was really good. So you really explained really well how it works. So my complaint is obviously not
Yeah.
about Zeus, it's great.
Yeah.
It's about the technology itself. To me, that's just wrong. Radically. I'm a strong CSS developer, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very opinionated about that. So when you start talking about React, I can immediately tell you why React is a good choice. Because it simplifies massively the process of creating and maintaining a user interface. Try to do the same thing without React. It will take you ages. However, and I would love to, but I'm struggling to see any advantage of doing that. Because I can do literally the same thing with CSS. So what's the advantage?
Yes, you are right, but I'm not able now to give you a good answer because I'm just starting with this. So I just scrapped the surface. So at the beginning I was skeptic also, but after that I say, okay, for me it's a powerful tool. Probably like this, I don't know, you can manipulate.
It's more complicated than CSS. What? I'll give you an example. Imagine that I'm thinking about real life problems where using style components just make everything much more complicated. For instance, imagine that all your text is white.
Yeah.
But because of a reason, you want to highlight sometimes text. And your highlight color is pink. It's much easier to have a CSS class called .highlight color pink.
But I thought the same thing, but I read on it. I say, okay, why these people are doing this? They say usually because you don't have to go into the CSS file, look for that. You can put change a variable and modify that color in that.
But the same way, you need to find a variable. What's the difference between finding a variable in JavaScript or finding a CSS class in your CSS files?
Not find. If I don't find, I can make a variation. I can create another variable. Okay, I don't want to waste my time to look at. I don't know. For example, there is another developer that left the building. No.
Yeah.
So okay, for now I can create a custom my button instead of button. I can change the color in that file, without compromise the old one. Maybe later I can go with calm. I can have a look. I think this could be one of the solutions, but I don't know, Ricardo, because I'm not so in this kind of thing. So probably you are more experienced. So this was my concern at the beginning. But I said, okay, everything when it's new is always a different approach. I think also with React, when you saw React the first time, I had the same impression, but now I'm changing my idea because you can do a lot of things that before was impossible to do it. Impossible. Also JavaScript, there are a lot of features now, but under the hood are always if and else. Why if and else something? If you don't have on a new browser, you have to look on the polyfill, and you can see if, else, why. A very long thing to do it. I believe that for me are understandable. But at the end, also Java, it's everything is in if and else. It's a choice. Okay, you can do it in this way, you can do it this way. The logic is that one. Then we can add new feature, a new method. JavaScript has improved a lot from the beginning. So at the beginning, it wasn't. It was a script language, just to add some very.
I think we're getting a lot very philosophical.
Yeah.
I want to see the advantages of historian.
Yeah, the advantage maybe. For me, the advantage, I can tell you something after I will deal with it for a while. After read the documentation. In this moment, it's always the impression, okay, I like it, we can play with it, it looks nice or something. But you have to always balance. It depends also by the work sometimes, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience in this field, so to say something.
You see the problem, you are unable, same as me, we are unable to spot the differences. Our point of view is, maybe if we spend time, maybe we'll be able to spot the differences.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yes.
Me, for example, my portfolio, I built it from scratch using a style component. So, and I can say my opinion from my point of view that It's really easy to start doing. I mean, maybe you can do exactly the same with CSS, of course. It's more scalable is the word if you use CSS, you know, because you can organize more. But for a small project, from my point of view, you can even see better in your React component when you have your render already. So your render or your return statement. You can see it's much easier to see, oh, you have the main div container of about, and then so you have one container. It's easier to see because you are not mixing div, class name, about, blah, blah, and I mean, it's from the eyes, from the point of view of React component, it's easier to see because you are only dealing with component. So for the eyes, it's easier. And also it's quicker to code as well because for a small project, it's much easier because you don't have to modelize your code, create a class, then go to your CSS, create a class, you just create a component mix and that's it. It's quicker for a small project. It's not scalable, is what I believe.
Another quick thing I was saying, I was going to say was that if you're working on a project with other developers, some people might be experiencing using CSS, or somebody's job might be just be doing styling, and somebody's job might just be doing React. And therefore, maybe that might be the reason why it's good to separate them.
To separate them, you mean?
Yeah, I mean the way we're working now in terms of CSS separating that.
Yeah.
I think maybe in big applications, it makes it better to understand or how to put to work together. That's my view of it. You know. But as we were saying, seeing both in one file, I mean I hate CSS already, and I think all in one file will just not work.
But you see, it's always a problem. So I got the feeling like that the style component is mainly supported by people who don't like CSS, and that's to me not the right thing, the right way of thinking, right? Because if you're operating with CSS, it doesn't matter if you write CSS or style components.
But the problem is you have to know the CSS because, as I said before, it's not a shortcut. It's only something to wrap everything together, and you can have like a piece, like post-it. Okay, I can use this. Maybe the real thing that sometimes confuses me also with I have to say also with React, to visualize all the connection. Where are all the
This doesn't
things?
help because you are artificially
Yeah,
increasing the number of components just for styling purposes.
Yeah, in fact, the first time I create a button, say, okay, I'm doing this. I can create a button in CSS. If I want, I can also put some inline style with CSS or inside the tag of CSS. I can do the same. But after that, it became a little bit, but probably because there was also the enthusiasm to this kind of new things. I was curious about it. So, but to be honest, I can't give you an answer now.
I can see two advantages because I'm trying to
find
that.
Yeah.
Trying.
For me, one advantage is that you can put breakpoints there and you can spot if you are debugging the code, you can see some error. Easiest done in CSS.
Alright, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, you can have breakpoints, fair enough. Yeah, I didn't thought about that, that's a good point. Another advantage, you can have variables.
Yeah.
You have in color. But then, okay, that's true. That's an advantage compared with CSS. But if I want to have variables, I will massively prefer to use less CSS, which is a framework on top of CSS about CSS, not on top of CSS about JavaScript. It's a bit mind-blowing. So Carl will
Also the structure, they mention in the documentation, they support also SAS, I think less CSS. And for this reason I was thinking at the beginning, okay, but why? They are because it's true that we can also create a variable, but sometimes I also try to find when you evil advocate, the evil trade, you try to break yourself, okay, now I like it, but why I have to create so many variables? I will mess also that file. If I start to put something, okay, I don't know how to do this now, let me put a variable here so I can change it. At the end, you will have, I don't know, I have to think about it, Ricardo.
I don't know when React appeared, the year React appeared, but it was a revolution, It was revolutionary. Because if people put inside JavaScript, HTML, and you render that on time, the idea behind this is, I mean,
Yep.
if they put HTML inside JavaScript, why don't we put?
No, I think, I believe them probably. Can I
We're mixing things, Walter, no? It's on the same page. The way to prove React is variable is very simple. To have a good portfolio with React,
Yeah.
do it without React. You'll see that with React is much quicker. We're getting that, right?
100%.
But now,
No.
let's create a project with the style components or without the style components. I'm not going to finish it quicker with the style components. It will take me probably longer.
Yeah, no, you know what was I was thinking just right now? That probably this could be a sort of side effect of React. Because now, when we use React, I think it's a sort of, we have to change our way of thinking. We have to think in React. And I think now the people are probably doing too much. They are trying to use that kind of way of thinking to create other things. It's a sort of side effect. Now, probably people they are putting too much sauce. I don't know if it's
Don't forget, one of the reasons why React became popular is because opposite to Angular, it wasn't very opinionated. So it delegated a lot into JavaScript, things like classes. Yeah, you create a class. A class wasn't invented by React. It was part of the JavaScript standard. So React was literally just reusing what was already there.
Yeah.
But now it's working on the other way around. Instead of reusing what the standard said, which is use CSS, they are now creating a new standard, which is just mix things.
That's evolution.
Yeah, I think
When
so.
the television appeared, what happened with the radio?
Just like the newspapers, they're all
But-
they just change.
There was an immediate advantage with the TV. You can see pictures. There was an advantage. So in 1 second you see the advantage.
But it's the same. In React now, when we see our component in the render, it's so easy. Now I have the component here. So this is the flexible. Because everything is a component, it's easier to read.
But you know what, Walter? Maybe
Is it real for who?
maybe
For the viewer,
no, Walter. You know what? Maybe it's easy for you because I don't know how much older you are. But I start at the beginning. No, because that's a compliment. No, because for me that I always,
I do jump.
I always try to do things with only HTML and CSS and avoid JavaScript because it's scary, you know. For me, also React was a sort of a shock at the beginning. Now probably I'm going to taste. I'm going to taste.
Happiness at the same time when you score, it was like, man, this is amazing. Because everything you can do with JavaScript now you can do it with CSS. That I don't know, we still have the same problem that CSS had, that it is scalability and all the spaghetti code we can make with that. But now, I don't know, there is like more ways to control it. I think you can have variables, you can do, I don't know, like background, amazing stuff. I mean, you can, all the possibilities you have with JavaScript with CSS. I know with CSS nowadays you can do still like crazy stuff like you couldn't do years ago, like you have variables,
Yeah,
now in CSS,
yeah.
you have
The mix, like the mix.
you have a lot of stuff, yeah. But still it's not like you can render that on real time, that this is offering that possibility now.
But don't forget, React won't be there in 5 years.
Exactly,
Yeah.
So in 5 years you have to rewrite your application. The question is, do you want to rewrite the logic or the logic and the styling?
Yes.
I don't know, libraries come and go.
Yeah. Like girlfriends.
Exactly. It's true, you know?
Sorry.
So guys, I think that's it for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.